Hey, Rainbow here, and welcome to my channel. This is going to be part 2 of the inner workings of a motorcycle insurance claim. And I am wearing full leathers. Why is that? Well, since I don't have an intro, and I probably won't make one, this is how I think I have to ride my motorcycle all the time. Whether I'm commuting to work, or it doesn't matter. This is what I feel like anymore, especially in South Florida. And it might be a good idea, except I don't know how I'm going to pull it off in the summertime because it is brutally hot in South Florida with the humidity and the mid to upper 90s on a daily basis. I mean, it's humid and in the 80s at night. It's just brutal in the summertime here. Anyway, so why am I saying this? For those that don't know, this is part 2. This is the second time in 9 months that I was sitting completely still on one of my motorcycles and hit by another car. The first time my Indian was totaled. Someone hit me head on and I jumped off the motorcycle literally just in time. And the second time, a guy missed his turn in an F-150 pickup truck, stopped, and I stopped behind him about 15-20 feet, and he just jammed it in reverse. I heard the engine rev up, and I had no time, hurt my lower left leg. Anyway, so here's what's been going on so far. Number one, the person who's at fault, who wasn't licensed, lied on the police report and said that I was coming behind them at a high rate of speed and smashed into them, which is completely incorrect and also not even remotely consistent with my injury. Now, I've been playing a serious game with, they've been playing a serious game with me because they're obviously going to believe they're unlicensed insured. Well, the person who owned the vehicle was the brother of the driver. The driver only has a passport from the country he's from. He doesn't have a license, so he was driving unlicensed, just to kind of bring up to speed. Stopped because he missed his turn, put it in reverse. Police were able to show that and explain that, but of course, since the person lied to the crash scene investigator, that's what their insurance company did. So right here, their insurance company is Direct General Insurance Company out of Miami. My insurance company is Progressive. So Direct General Insurance Company said, hey, we're not at fault, but we're going to send someone to do an estimate just in case, you know, while we're waiting for... Well, their estimator never showed up, never called me, and then I found out that he said he went to the shop an hour before they opened and then said he didn't know what their hours were. Well, then why would you go there? I'm very aggravated about the whole thing. So I asked them to assign a new estimator, which eventually they did, and their estimator went out after my estimator from Progressive was there, and let's just say there's kind of a big difference with everything. So what's ended up happening was I shared some more information with the other insurance company, showed them pictures of the injury on my leg, got on another Multistrada V4S and showed exactly how my left foot was firmly planted, holding me in place, which means I was stopped when he backed into me, forcing the front left peg into my shin, causing my injury. So finally, they've agreed to take responsibility and pay the claim, but this is where it gets really interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you on the screen here, I'm going to bring up some of the numbers that Direct General came up with. All right. The first thing that I'm going to tell you is that the shop charges somewhere around $130 or $135 an hour for the work that they do. Okay? The estimate from Direct General was for a fork assembly just for labor, 1.2 hours to rebuild the fork, because they're only going to supply a fork seal kit and just the sleeve only. They're not going to replace the fork, and they're certainly not going to replace both forks. They're going to replace the brake lever assembly, the knuckle guard on the right hand, the front mud guard, the right footrest, the rear RH plate, I don't even know what that is, the bracket, the cowling, the cover, the tank cover, a bunch of other covers in there. The air conveyor has to be replaced, another cover on the cowling, the right hand air deflector, another air deflector, the headlight. I thought the headlight came as a double assembly, but it's just one at a time. So one of the headlights is completely smashed. A guard cover, another body cowling, and $9 for fork oil. So what they've done is they've decided that all of this work is only going to take the shop 4.4 hours at basically half the rate that the shop charges, which I think is pathetic. So what they're saying, the total cost is going to be $4,991.58. So they sent me a check for that, which I didn't get, and I will not be cashing that check. I'm already going to void the check because we've had such issues, and the shop was very frustrated with the estimator from Direct General Insurance because they're not even convinced that he has any experience with motorcycles, that I've decided to call Progressive and say, listen, just you continue with the claim and then you guys can subrogate, and they've agreed with that. So they're going to waive my $1,000 deductible, which is really good for me. So in the end, although I'm going to be out a bike for probably a month or whatever it is, which sucks, it's not going to cost me any money for it. Now, Direct General did say that this is to get started. If you find anything else, you can continue, but they've already argued that they don't want to replace both forks and they only want to replace an outer tube versus just replacing the fork assembly. Now, when we look at the estimate from Progressive, which is my insurance company, they have agreed to pay the $135 an hour rate. They're saying it's going to take 7.7 hours, but the only mistake that was made was that they did the same thing where they said they're just going to do the outer tube, but they meant that they were going to replace the entire fork. So once again, I'm back to just getting one fork replaced, not both. I'm a little uncomfortable with that. I don't want to have any issues with vibration. I don't want to have any issues with a tank slap or any problems with, it's bad enough that you're going to have one brand new fork with brand new fork oil and one fork with 14,000 miles on it and old fork oil in it. So I kind of have an issue with that, and I think that that's legitimate, okay? But Progressive is much easier to work with. Their estimator is easier to work with, and he asked the shop, just call if you have any problems, and they will make adjustments. And then whatever they pay out, they're going to collect from Direct General. Now, the other person who hit me, who they're taking responsible, they have a limit of property damage of $10,000, and that's it. They have no other general liability. They have no bodily injury for me. So there's no coverage there. And I don't have uninsured, underinsured. I have it on my car insurance, but I don't have it on my motorcycle insurance. All right. So if you look at what they're going to replace, it's pretty much some similar items here. There's less in parts, but there's significantly more in labor because they're willing to pay up to 7.7 hours. But again, all of this is going to go up. So right now, the estimate for this is $5,606.62, and that's going to go up at least $1,000 or so. So I'm still looking at probably somewhere around an $8,000 claim by the time everything is finished here, and they're going to pay the full amount. So the bike was not totaled. I didn't expect this to get totaled because it didn't get smashed as hard as my Indian Scout when I was hit head on, because that thing was just demolished. This is a whole other ball game. There's a lot of front end damage. I am concerned about some of the forks being bent. I'm concerned about the rim. I'm concerned about the tire. None of that was listed on here, and that's part of what I'm concerned about. So we're going to see. So the bottom line for this particular update is that the other party's insurance company has agreed to pay, but then they didn't. But then they were too difficult to work with. So I've chosen to have Progressive, my insurance company, handle the claim and then subrogate with the other. So as far as me suing, you can't sue people who have no money and have minimal insurance, because you can't bleed water from a dry rock. So I'm just SOL. There's no suing anybody. I'm gonna have to deal with the pain. I'm gonna have to deal with my injury. It's gonna be my responsibility, as much as I don't like it, but it is what it is, which is a horrible saying, but that's the truth. Anyway, please like, please subscribe. I will do a third one of these once the bike is fixed, so I can go over the total bill and let you know how it played out and how much time and who ended up cutting the check, whether it was to me or directly to the shop. The shop has officially ordered the parts, so I'm excited about that. I'm hoping that within the next 2 weeks I can get the bike back, because most of the parts, when they went to order from the Ducati system, were all in the green, which means they're in stock, readily available. When we looked at it the other day, there were some that were yellow, but those turned into green, so that hopefully should be a good sign. Anyway, this is Rainbow. Full leathers all the time, I think. Have a good day, and bye-bye.